Breaking news, Mark Williams out 2 to 3 weeks. How will the Phoenix Suns respond? Is Khaman Maluach ready? A very loaded PHNX Suns pregame show coming up right after this. Psychos and sickos unite for a stress reaction edition of the PHNX Suns pregame show, of course, brought to you by our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you. At Gila River Resorts and Casinos, visit playatgila.com for more details. I'm Eric, that's Skill. We got Espo and the Freckled Mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen as the Phoenix Suns need some magic or some luck or just something to change as the injury bug bites them again. Thank you all for being here. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. We got pregame, watch along, postgame. Same old story for you all here on PHNX Sports. But we are going to definitely preview Suns Bulls. But first, breaking news. The Phoenix Suns announced yesterday that Mark Williams would be out tonight with left foot soreness. And then earlier today, literally about an hour ago, they announced that Mark Williams will be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks after suffering a stress reaction in the third metatarsal of his left foot. He will be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. This is bad news.
Well, yeah, and to kind of put that in layman's terms, essentially the middle bone in his foot, the long bone, couldn't handle the kind of load, the what's been put on it in terms of how much he's played, and so it can't handle the force that's been put on it. And if you don't take this time off, it leads to a stress fracture. That's what a sports medicine professional kind of explained to me. So essentially, he was on the road to breaking his foot, and
Awesome.
this pain that he felt was the precursor to that, and it was kind of the alarm bell that his body was sounding. So it's good that they didn't just say, you know what, rest, and we'll get you back out there, and they did the right imaging. But it's still extremely concerning because you hope the rest takes that stress off, that you can then go back to regular workload. But I don't know that that's a given here.
I'm glad they caught it before it got any worse. Obviously, it is very unfortunate that it happened, period, but especially this time of year. On the flip side, it does make some things make more sense. We were sitting here saying, what's going on with Mark? What's slowing him down? What is holding him back? If this is something he's been trying to play through, that would explain a lot. There was even Tuesday's game when I was saying, hey, run, like, be a little more aggressive, be a little more assertive with your movements. And even to say they had that alley-oop dunk at the end of the game shows how he's playing through this. So you hope that it's on the earlier side of reevaluation and he's back on the court, given that timetable, knowing that the playoffs and postseason are right around the corner. But the big thing is the big picture, and you're most concerned about that with him.
Well, Jordan Ott spoke pregame, just to read some quotes here from him, talked about this is something that popped up yesterday. This is not something that's been bothering Mark for a long time. Now, who knows? Maybe Mark's been kind of dealing with it, but, there's wear and tear on NBA players in general. And I'm sure that Mark is probably not the one to be like, oh my God, I'm dealing with this, because A, he knows a contract is coming up, and B, he knows the stigma behind who he is as a player going into this season. Jordan Ott said he just had a little soreness, went to have an image done, and obviously we saw the news mention that there was no instance in which they look at that game and say that's when that happened, which is why your medical professional that you talked to, Espo, is like, this is just the overall workload. Now, is this something that's been bothering him for a while? We don't know, but we do know that his play has slowed down the last couple of months, which has also coincided with him playing more games this season already than he ever had in his career, and that was all the way back in January. And so this is very bad for Mark Williams in the sense of okay, you're in a contract year, your play is already slowed down. reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks for something that is in the same foot that he missed time with. I believe he had a strain on his left foot either last season or the season before. And so hopefully this isn't lingering, but it's hard not to evaluate Mark Williams' career so far and think to yourself, this is just going to be an isolated 2 to 3 weeks, and then you move on and it's fine.
Well, one of the worst things that a big man can have is a foot injury.
Yes.
Like
Or back injury. And
Yeah,
Mark has had both.
And I mean, so that's it. That's extremely concerning. Long-term future, I hate to say it, but it might actually help the Suns if they're interested in bringing him back. It may actually suppress that dollar amount that he's looking for, but this is extremely concerning for the present. And when you look at the long term, you got to wonder, okay, can you only pencil this guy in for 50 games a year? And is his body just not built to handle the stress and rigors of a full NBA season?
That was the thought that crossed my mind too. It's not a knock on somebody. 82 games are a lot, and there are some guys who aren't not built. They aren't. Their bodies just can't handle the wear and tear, and that's why we see guys and load management, and we see teams handle injuries in ways and try to take preventative measures as we've seen this year. And it's unfortunate for Mark, obviously unfortunate for the team, unfortunate for us, that when it seemed like he had reached that breakthrough, this happens. And, again, it's fortunate that it didn't get worse than it is, but the fact that he's even dealing with this, the fact that he's going to be off the court for an extended period of time, and who knows how this impacts him if and when he's back on the floor. But I do think it's just kind of a reminder that, listen, some guys, that are bigger guys and have to play a certain way, it's harder to do that 2, 3, 4 times a week. And you see kind of wear and tear like this.
Well, the interesting thing, I did an article on gophnx.com about what it's like to be an athletic trainer and how much of all these injuries can you really put at the feet, and no pun intended, of the Suns trainers. And one of the things, I talked to a couple ex NBA trainers in the piece, and one of the things they said to me was load management actually can have an adverse effect where these guys are not prepared to play the kind of minutes that are asked of them at some point, and that their bodies learn to only have to turn it on for 40, 50, 60 games, whatever the case may be. And I kind of wonder if that's what goes on with Mark's body, because he has not played a full season. So now his body is not used to what we've put him through this season, and this is a reaction to it because, well, your body, your muscles, every part of it goes, well, this isn't what we do, and this happens.
Now, this could be, and maybe this is a spin zone here, maybe this is cope, because this is yet another injury the Suns are dealing with, which is insane, and we'll get to the injury report in a second. But this might be exactly what Mark Williams kind of needs right now. Not the injury part, but at least 2 to 3 weeks of completely resting. Now, we know that this is something that could nag him, but he's been really good so far this season of dealing with, he's had the soreness, he's had the return from injury management with the knee, he's had a knee, he's had a back, he's had a foot, overall in his career. And so far, like injury-wise, he's been able to manage that very well. I do hope that give him a couple of weeks off, and maybe when he does come back, we can see a little bit more of the Mark Williams that we saw at the beginning of the season. And quite frankly, if you told me that we would be getting to March, and this would be the first time that Mark Williams missed any significant time, I would have been shocked. I don't think anybody would have expected him to have already played the amount of games that he's already played. So he's not out, at least as of right now, until the playoffs. This will take him to near the end of March. Your schedule, as we went over yesterday, is a little bit easier. And when you look at the centers you have on your roster, we've had a lot of talk about Oso Ighodaro, who's starting tonight in place of Mark Williams, which is like not surprising at all, but is now he going to be able to step up and maybe show the Suns what it could be if he is the full-time starter for this team?
I mean, they've already had a propensity to close games with him. So there's a comfort with him being out there when it matters. There's a comfort with him being out there with the guys that he'll be in this starting lineup with. I don't know that a lot will change on that front in terms of it. Still has the flaws that he's always had with the shooting, but he's found ways to overcome that and found ways to have impact beyond that. Now, can he handle 30, 35 minutes of doing that? Because the reality is he now has to, because you have traded any depth. In fact, you're seeing the guy that you traded tonight in Nick Richards that you're going to face, and you're now also turning to a younger guy as well in Khaman Maluach. So Oso doesn't really have a choice. Oso's got to figure out, how do I put 35 quality minutes, 30 quality minutes out there for this team, night in, night out, for the foreseeable future.
And there's never a good time for this to happen, but if it's going to happen, it's against a shorthanded Bulls team who's going with the front court of Leonard Miller and Gershon Yabusele tonight. So you can ease your guys in a little bit, and Oso can get more comfortable. He's played plenty of minutes with this unit, so it's not a matter of comfort in that sense, but comfort of starting the game. And I don't think that he's going to be tested as much as other centers could test him, as much as Yabusele can. Now, he's a physical guy. He is a big guy, a heavier guy, but he's been shooting a lot of threes. Took 10 threes last game. So thinking of it from that perspective to ease him into it, to where by Sunday, where there's a big test looming, he'll be pretty prepared and pretty comfortable based on what we see today, tomorrow, and then have the weekend to prepare for that.
Yeah. Khaman, I think a lot of people are assuming is just automatically going to slot into the Oso Ighodaro minutes, as Oso Ighodaro now goes into the starting lineup. Now, hearing Jordan Ott talk pregame, he definitely mentioned that there might be an opportunity for Khaman, but also talked about that they're going to be looking into small ball as well. I do wonder exactly how many minutes Khaman will be playing.
Well, I mean, tonight we were talking about this, Gil. Tonight's the night if you're going to test your small ball theory. You start it tonight because they don't have a real center, so you can ease into that a little bit, test that. I question that as well, but if we're at the point where you traded Nick Richards knowing that if an injury came up to Mark Williams, that you were going to be down to Oso and Khaman, and you felt comfortable with it, but then you don't play Khaman, because you can't tell me that they were thinking, oh, we'll play Rasheer at the 5, and then we'll find a way to get Amir Coffey and Haywood Highsmith, and then we'll play small ball that way. Like, Highsmith, I think, is the linchpin to trying to play small, and along with Rasheer, and I don't think they were planning for that. I think they looked at it and said, we're comfortable with if Khaman has to play those minutes, and now if they don't play him, alarm bells go off for me at that point. Do you have a lot of questions about this kid if you went into that?
I think back a little bit to what I said on Tuesday, and I talked about it kind of being like the meal analogy I use with Khaman and whether or not he's ready. And I wonder, we talk so much about the habit situation, and do you want to put somebody out there if they're not ready yet and they form some bad habits, or can they play through those bad habits? And also the other part with Khaman, though, is that we have not seen him play very many minutes next to the guys who can elevate his play. And he's been having to kind of scrape and figure it out on his own in those garbage time minutes and against or next to some other guys who can't make life as easy for him as a Devin Booker or a Jalen Green could do if he shares a court with them. Does that mean it's going to happen tonight? Not necessarily, but that is the one thing I will hold out as far as what we have not seen from him. But yes, I do think I would be a little concerned if in this dire circumstance they don't trust him for some type of rotation in the second quarter or something like that. That is when you start to get a little concerned. It doesn't mean that he's done for and he's like a lost cause. No. But you worry a little bit.
Yeah, to me, it's like, okay, you know when your phone's about to die, you charge it, but you know you got to leave, right? And and you grab it, and you know, I got 35%, but I'm gonna make it work. Like, I know that Khaman Maluach is not the guy he's going to be eventually. Sure. We know he's not done in the development category. In a perfect world, maybe you do have more time on certain things, but the perfect world isn't there, and you were sitting there with a chance to be a top 6 playoff team and do this. If you don't feel confident in 80% of him, that worries me. If you feel like Rasheer Fleming, another rookie playing small ball center, is a better option, I have all sorts of questions at that.
Well, and I think, we don't see practice, obviously, and even, Steven and the reporters are there. They don't really get to see practice. They get to see shoot around, right? But from what I've seen in the G League, right, and from the brief minutes that he's had, whether it's, against OKC or whatnot in the month of February, I feel like he has earned the right to at least try to keep that spot, right? Like, if he makes mistakes, if he's clearly not ready and you throw him to the fire and you're like, okay, this is not being beneficial for him, okay, pull him back, cool. Let's figure that out. Is that concerning? Yes. Is it the end of the world? No. And what you said, Gil, about you don't want to throw a guy out there and have him, build bad habits. Well, look at Rasheer, right? Like, Rasheer had some bad habits earlier in the season, and as he's played more, he's actually been better than that. I think when you have a good coaching staff, a good infrastructure, and you have the G League, which Khaman can go and work on these bad habits he has, which usually leads to, turnovers or missing a man on a box out, some of these basics that you have to learn as a big man in the NBA, you need to throw him to the fire every once in a while. And right now, you have no other choice, right? Like, I know that you're playing a smaller team tonight, but you can't just go out there and be like, all right, Rasheer Fleming or Haywood Highsmith or Amir Coffey or Ryan Dunn or Royce O'Neal, go be our 5, because if you don't need Khaman Maluach tonight, but Mark Williams is out 2 to 3 weeks, I promise you there will be nights where you need a guy like Khaman Maluach. So let him go out there, and if he's going to make some mistakes against the Bulls, because they're not a good team, especially at the position that he plays. To me, it's a non-negotiable. He has to play tonight, and if he doesn't, I'm sure Jordan Knott's going to be getting a lot of questions about that after the game.
The one thing on top of habits I will think or wonder about is the confidence. If he goes out there and he's playing against a small lineup, and in his head and all of our heads is probably like he needs to dominate these guys, and he doesn't do that, I wonder what that does for him. And he should, right? Like, you're thinking about if he's on the court and the next tallest guy is 6'6", right? And they can't do anything with him, or in your head, they can't do anything with him. And he struggles out there. I wonder what that does for him developmentally as far as that goes, which, again, that's another problem in itself, but that's another thing that I worry about. I think he should be out there. I want him to go out there, and I want him to just play with effort, rebound, run the floor, and finish up top. I think that's all you need to ask him to do. Yeah. But I wonder if that's more difficult or easier said than done when you're overthinking the game and not playing it.
I mean, for me, what I need him to do is just be the deterrent at the rim. Like, the offensive side, okay, whatever. If that's rough, fine, and you don't have to involve him a huge amount in the offense. But on defense, you need that anchor at the rim, and that's where I would need him to be good enough out there tonight.
Yeah, if he loses his confidence because of one bad stretch or one bad game, then I think we have a different problem. From everything that we've seen about him, his work ethic, his general joy and attitude on everything, general joy and attitude, I think that he can handle some rough patches on the court. I don't think that's going to deter him.
Yeah, like he said, I mean, when you look at his life,
he's been through much harder things.
The most difficult.
And I think this franchise has made it very clear to him that no matter what happens this season, like, they believe in him and they've invested in him. And so I can't imagine that he hits a wall and the response is going to be to shrink. If anything, I think that actually might be a good experience from him. Only one way to find out. That's the play of the game tonight. Let's take a look at the injury report presented by our friends over at the Husband and Wife Law Team. If you've had a serious injury, call the Husband and Wife Law Team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com. Obviously, Mark Williams is on the injury report, joining Dillon Brooks and Jordan Goodwin, who continue to be out. Over on the Bulls side of things,
holy hell,
we're being robbed of a Jalen Smith revenge game. By the way, but Josh Giddey is out, Modest Buzelis is out, Patrick Williams is out, Zach Collins is out, Noah Senge is out, Jaden Ivey is out, and Anthony Simons is out.
Man.
Yeah, they're tanking, folks. For the first time in what feels like forever, the Bulls are like purposefully tanking instead of just being
aching, obviously
accidentally bad. Now, that does bring us to who is actually playing for the Bulls tonight, and there is a very familiar face. Let's get into our credit check presented by our friends over at Mountain America Credit Union, the official credit union of the PHNX Suns. 9.5 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, and a 3-point shooting machine. Not really, but kind of. Nick Richards has actually found a place on the tanking Chicago Bulls, has been a relatively effective center. I don't want to ask if you're worried about Nick Richards tonight, but do you feel like he's going to have a little something extra for this team that just didn't play him?
Everybody is a little extra motivated. You know what I mean? I think this comes down to he'll have 2 or 3, moving screens tonight rather than the one that he used to have. Look, these stats are inflated because you're playing for the putrid Chicago Bulls, right? So somebody's got to score, somebody's got to grab rebounds. It's just that, it's just probability in terms of that. And we know he can rebound. He did that in the first season he was here, and he has, opportunity from time to time to score. I'm not concerned about him. I know he'll be, frustrated, come out fired up, but I think they're inflated stats based on the situation he's playing in.
I wonder how fired up he comes, or if he psychs himself out a little bit with, guys want to prove something, guys want to play hard. It's going to be guys who you've played against in practice and training camp and things of that nature. You have a chip on your shoulder. I'm sure the guys will be happy to see him, but I think he might have a double-double off the bench, but I don't think that necessarily moves the needle for this Bulls team tonight.
Nick Richards tribute video.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. They will do something.
They always do.
It won't be anything large.
I mean, they're not going to stop the game, but
No,
it'll be
they probably
welcome back, Nick Richards.
They probably did it pregame, to be honest. It was probably some short.
You think it's happening right now?
Maybe.
God, I can't believe we're missing it.
I do want to ask you guys. I watched their Thunder game. He had his first illegal screen. I think his first segment in the game. So first quarter. Does it happen in the first quarter of this game?
It might happen the first possession.
100%.
Okay.
That's what the whole tribute video
is. Who gets an illegal screen first? The Suns or Nick Richards? Who are you taking?
Back to back.
And that's usually how they call it. Honestly, they do call it. Imagine you could bet on that.
Yeah, I'd be a big winner.
Yeah, that would be insane. We'll get to our bets in a second, but as far as the rest of this Bulls team, Gil, that is actually playing tonight, which is about half of them. Who do you have your eyes on as okay, the Suns should win tonight. The Bulls are injured, blah, 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 but this player could go off.
Talk about how fitting is the young Bull plays for the Bulls. Colin Sexton does not care who is available, who he's playing against. He is probably one of the biggest competitors in the NBA, if not the biggest competitor in the NBA, and he does not know what a tank is. So I can imagine Colin Sexton being a guy who's very fiery tonight and will be very excited about all the reps that are coming his way, given how shorthanded this team is.
Your boy Gershon has 3 double-doubles in his first 11
Mm-hmm.
games. I think he's a guy not afraid to pull from deep either. I think he'd be a guy to watch tonight, especially with question how much size the Suns will have. He's a girthy dude.
Oh, we're going to be watching Gershon Yabusele, I'll tell you that. Trey Jones is certainly somebody that you need to keep your eyes on as well. He can hoop.
Vengeance for his brother?
Vengeance for his brother. Leonard Miller is a name that I don't think a lot of Suns fans or really NBA fans in general are going to be super aware of. He's, I believe, starting tonight.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty good. He's not a great player, but he's a pretty good player.
Name sounds like a playwright. He doesn't sound like a basketball.
He could do a little bit of everything. He can rebound, he can pass the ball, he could score a little bit. He is one of those guys that I think will have a good game tonight, and then Suns fans are going to be like, these random guys always have good games against us. Leonard Miller is a solid NBA player.
I think the last class of G League Ignite guys to come to the league, Canadian player, really actually high quality, good dude, and just didn't get an opportunity with the Timberwolves. So getting to a chance to go somewhere where winning is not a priority right now is good for him to kind of show what he's capable of doing. So I expect him to obviously, he's put up some good numbers since he's joined the Bulls as well.
Yeah, come on. Anybody that has a good night tonight, Suns fans are going to be like random guy because look at the Bulls roster.
Two names that I cannot wait. I hope they get minutes tonight. They're both on two-way deals. The Bulls might have the most electric two-way guys in the league.
Yes.
Yuki
Yes.
Kawamura, who's 5'7",
yes,
and won a jump ball earlier
my
this
birthday
year.
twin.
And Mac McClung. They're both on two ways for the Bulls.
We're going to get an insane dunk in garbage time tonight.
Yeah.
Yuki, I need to see some Yuki minutes. I love
Yuki to McClung on the fast break.
I love Yuki, man. Yuki's awesome.
We might have to make that our love to play.
CJ says Rob Dillingham is looking like a bust, so he'll 100% have a career now.
Man.
Shout out to Rob Dillingham for the hoodie that said 2008 global financial crisis.
Yeah.
It's the most amazing hoodie I've ever seen in my entire
I thought you were
life.
gonna talk about the turnover he had last game. He was just dribbling ball, just it was like a Looney Tunes turnover.
Like Kyle Kuzma turnover.
It was worse than that.
Okay, let's take a look at our pregame picks. Unfortunately, we are all in the negative. We're in the negative, which is
not great.
Yeah, not great.
not good at all actually.
Kinda
Gil,
What's up, guys?
Gil,
Hey,
What's
Gil,
up, y'all?
I'm gonna say, Gil,
Welcome home.
really embarrassing that you're in the negative.
It's fine. Just
Really embarrassing.
I just want to see what it was like over here.
It's really.
I'll be back
embarrassing.
green at the next game. Tomorrow night I'll be green.
Well, okay. So how are you getting there, Gil?
How am I gonna? We're keeping it simple. Jalen Green, 15+ points because I'm getting back green. Also, 7+ boards. Devin Booker, 5+ assists, and the Suns will win this by at least 7 points tonight. Plus 220 with a 30% profit boost.
A lot of work to get $25.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get back.
Yeah, I mean, when you're 488 below, you got to get back above. Espo, what are you putting your?
Let's look at this. Devin Booker 25+ points. Jalen Green 15+ points. Grayson Allen 20+ points at a plus 1,000. So enjoy that, gentlemen.
Freckled Mamba, weigh in. Where are you putting your money?
Oso Igdaro, of course,
Duh.
over 20.5 PRA. Grayson Allen's going to hit 3 or more threes tonight, and the Suns will win by more than 11 points. That is all plus 310 with a 30% profit boost.
Freckled Mamba and I are going to be rooting for the same things tonight. I'm sorry, Ayrton. I'm taking Colin Gillespie over 24.5 PRA. He continues to start. Grayson Allen continues to come off the bench. I'm taking Oso Igdaro over 20.5 PRA. I think Oso and Colin are going to be very good together. I'm taking Jalen Green over 1.5 stocks. I think that's going to be a consistent leg in my parlay until they bump that number up. I'm taking Devin Booker over 2.5 3-pointers made. People forget that Devin Booker hates the Chicago Bulls. He goes off against the Chicago Bulls. So plus 1150 with a 30% profit boost. So
Craig says you've all ruined.
Yes, they have. But not after tonight. I'm back.
We will see. We'll give you our score predictions. We'll continue to break down the game in our watch along, a watch along for every game as we go through March and April and we go towards the playoffs. Let's get out of here with the Suns must win meter. We were at a perfect 10 last game. We're at a perfect 10 tonight as well. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. So how do the Suns pick up a big win?
Derek, baby.
These are Steven's keys to the game. Key number 1, set tone at point of attack, especially in pick and roll. Key number 2, offensive tempo. And key number 3, win on the boards. I'd like to add key number 4, which is one that Steven went to before, which is just win. Win this game.
Do not let the undersized Bulls have any type of advantage on the boards.
No.
Please.
That'd
be embarrassing.
The bottom 10 teams in the NBA have lost 44 consecutive games, the Bulls being one of them. Let's make it 45 tonight. We'll be watching along on this channel. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, follow us at PHNX_Suns, and we'll talk to you all very soon.
We all silly like the mayor.